The French Olympic Games have not even begun, but a horrific disaster has struck the capital city of Paris. Marine pollution has caused sharks to mutate, and they suddenly appeared along the Seine River, attacking athletes from various countries competing in the triathlon. This is the just-released disaster horror film Under Paris. The story begins in a heavily polluted area of the North Pacific. A team dedicated to studying shark evolution ventured into this area and discovered that human-made waste covered an astonishing 3 million square kilometers. This was undoubtedly lethal to the marine life inhabiting the area. Just as Sophia was preparing to film a video to call for human action to protect the marine environment, they suddenly spotted a previously tagged shark nearby. Her team members immediately donned their diving equipment to investigate, unaware that this would be their last dive. As soon as they entered the water, they noticed a dangerous sign. A sperm whale was entangled in ocean debris, but its cause of death was a massive bite wound on its abdomen. The sperm whale has no natural predators other than humans, so what kind of creature could have inflicted such a horrific wound? As the team pondered this, a large shark slowly swam into view. Initially, they couldn't believe that this shark was the one they had tagged and named Lilith. 2.5 months ago, Lilith was only 2.5 meters long, but now she had grown to an astonishing 7 meters, a growth rate that was clearly abnormal. To understand the cause, Sophia needed some shark samples for research, and reluctantly, Chris agreed to risk collecting a blood sample. This decision nearly led to their complete annihilation. Chris jabbed the shark with the sampling pole, causing the startled shark to launch a fierce attack on them. Hearing her teammates' screams, Sophia knew something was terribly wrong, and despite being stopped, she immediately jumped into the water. But as soon as she put on her diving goggles, what came into view were the severed limbs of her teammates. It foreshadows their tragic fate. Sophia frantically looked around, hoping to find any surviving teammates. At that moment, the shark suddenly appeared. Sophia shot at it but missed the vital spot. The charging shark got entangled in a fishing net, dragging Sophia into the deep sea along with it. As the pressure increased, Sophia's eardrums ruptured. Facing imminent death from the deep sea pressure, Sophia hastily pulled out a small knife to cut the net. With her last breath, she desperately swam upwards, finally breaking the surface just before suffocating. 3 years later, Sophia has given up her former job and is now working as an educator at an aquarium. She primarily teaches students about marine life and the importance of protecting the ocean environment. The incident had a profound impact on Sophia. She didn't want to deal with sharks anymore, but just as she was about to leave work and go home, a girl approached her and mentioned the whereabouts of the shark, Lilith. The girl's name was Mika, and she was a member of a grassroots marine conservation organization. They tracked and protected sharks through beacons connected by their internal team. However, not long ago, they discovered that Lilith, the shark that had caused Sophia so much trauma, had migrated from the North Pacific all the way to the Seine River in downtown Paris, France. Sophia immediately dismissed this, saying it was impossible and must be due to the beacon detaching and drifting there by accident, as blue sharks simply cannot survive in freshwater. But Mika insisted that climate change and marine pollution might have caused the shark to evolve, and the beacon couldn't have traveled upstream on its own, so she was certain the signal was from Lilith. Concerned for Lilith's safety, Mika felt they should help the shark return to the ocean, which was why she had sought out Sophia. Sophia, however, argued that it was too dangerous and they couldn't even be sure the shark had really reached Paris. With that, Sophia turned and left. Back home, she was lost in thought, clearly reminded of her lost teammates by the recent events. She opened the box from her previous job and, looking at the mementos of her work with her teammates, tears began to flow uncontrollably. After her sorrow subsided, Sophia couldn't resist checking Lilith's beacon, and to her surprise, it confirmed what Mika had said. The shark was indeed in the Seine. Having witnessed its terror firsthand, Sophia began to worry. If they didn't find a way to deal with Lilith, some unlucky person could end up as its meal. Early the next morning, Sophia took her equipment and went to the river to track the beacon, but she suddenly received a call from the police. Her worst fears had come true. The police had found a body by the river, initially suspected to have been attacked by a large, aggressive creature. Since Mika and Sophia often dealt with aquatic animals, they were both called to the crime scene. Seeing the mutilated body, Sophia was convinced it had been bitten by a shark. They then went to the police station together, where Sophia hoped that Chief Angeli would send a professional team to eliminate the shark. But Angeli was skeptical. thinking the man might have been killed by a propeller. She would only believe it if she saw a shark in the Seine with her own eyes. With no other option, Officer Adil led a team to the river to investigate personally, and Sophia brought her equipment and joined them on the boat. Mika followed closely on her bicycle from the shore. Using the beacon coordinates provided by Sophia, the group quickly reached the signal's location. 3 police officers donned their gear and immediately dived into the river. Due to the extremely low visibility underwater, they could see the signal nearby but couldn't find any target. Seeing this, Mika grew increasingly nervous, fearing the shark might get hurt. She called her colleague Ben and had her remotely turn off the beacon. This way, the shark's location would be concealed. Sophia quickly noticed the signal disappearing from her computer screen. She sensed something was wrong and hurriedly pulled the rope with Adil to alert the divers below. Meanwhile, the 3 divers noticed a large creature swimming around. Fortunately, they were pulled up just in time. Although they didn't get a clear look at the creature, they could tell it was a large animal. Adil then confirmed through sonar images that the creature was indeed a shark. However, he suspected that Sophia had deliberately turned off the beacon, putting their team in danger. Sophia doesn't bother to explain and walks ashore, but she spots Mika sneaking around and realizes what's going on. Sophia followed Mika all the way to their workspace. She angrily rebuked Mika, saying that she shouldn't act so recklessly in order to protect the shark. While the shark's life is important, human lives should be the priority. This led to a heated argument between them. Mika believed the shark wouldn't actively attack humans, but Sophia shared her experience, insisting that this shark was different. Sophia warned Mika to stay out of this and then left. Back at the police station, Adil immediately informed Anjali about the shark's presence. He suggested closing the water gates to capture the shark and preventing anyone from approaching the Seine. However, Anjali was in a difficult position because the city was about to host a triathlon swimming event in the Seine, attracting athletes from around the world with live global coverage. The mayor placed great importance on this event, and Anjali didn't have the authority to close the Seine. She had to report the situation truthfully to her superiors. Meanwhile, Mika disregarded Sophia's warning and posted a video online showing marine animals being killed. Urging people to protect them, she highlighted that there was a shark in the Seine that needed protection. Mika's video quickly went viral. Sophia saw the video too, but Lilith's beacon was still off. Just as Sophia was about to leave work and go home, Adil found her again. He apologized for his earlier suspicions and informed Sophia that he was about to meet with the mayor to discuss the shark issue. Adil hoped Sophia would join him. Given her extensive knowledge about the shark, led by Anjali, they went to the mayor's office to explain the situation. However, the mayor was dismissive. The triathlon was a major global event, and they had invested countless resources and time into its successful execution, with costs reaching $1.7 billion. This event was Paris's chance to showcase itself to the world. How could they cancel it because of a shark? What would the international community think of Paris? What would they think of her as the mayor? Sophia warned the mayor that if no action was taken, the swimming competition could very well turn into a shark's buffet. However, the mayor reiterated that the Seine could not be closed and the event must proceed as scheduled. She assigned Anjali full responsibility for dealing with the shark. Frustrated, they had no choice but to leave. Their only option now was to catch the shark as quickly as possible, but with the tracker turned off, finding the shark was no easy task. So they decided to try luring it out with bait, but just as they were about to go ahead with their plan, Mika's colleague Ben came to them in a hurry. It turned out that Mika had gathered dozens of companions to drive the shark back to the ocean. Fearing that Mika's approach was too extreme and that something could go wrong, Ben sought their help. After some adjustments, Ben managed to reactivate the tracker, but the shark was now in the Paris Catacombs. The Catacombs were a deep vertical shaft, with an underground river at the bottom connecting to the Seine. To reach this area, humans had to travel through a narrow man-made canal. The entrance was so narrow that if they were attacked by the shark, there would be no escape. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Adil immediately led a team to the site. By then, Mika had already reached her destination, preparing to use sonar to guide the shark. As soon as Mika entered the water, Adil and his team arrived at the scene. As the officers began to evacuate the crowd, Sophia urged Mika to come ashore, but the stubborn Mika refused. At that moment, the tracker showed the signal approaching, and the next second, a shark appeared right in front of Mika. Everyone's heart was in their throat. Then they saw a shark pup emerge from the water. To their surprise, the shark Lilith had given birth to shark pups, indicating that it was more dangerous now than ever before. But instead of heeding Sophia's warning, Mika recklessly reached out to touch the shark pup. This action clearly enraged Lilith. In a desperate attempt, Adil risked jumping into the water to forcibly pull Mika to safety, but Mika broke free from Adil. At that moment, the shark claimed Mika. Mika's sacrifice proved to everyone that this shark was indeed a man-eater, leaving the onlookers terrified. Fortunately, Adil was pulled back to safety by his teammates. The same people who refused to leave now desperately wanted to escape, but the narrow, slippery path caused many to fall into the water in the chaos. The shark showed no mercy, devouring anyone who fell into the water. Some people were pulled to shore with great difficulty, but the lower half of their bodies were nowhere to be found. The small shaft was instantly stained red with blood, making the bloodthirsty shark even more excited. Even a police officer fell victim to the shark. An enraged Adil fired his gun, but it had no effect. The narrow passage became their only escape route, and everyone scrambled to reach the exit. The brutal scene reminded Sophia of the incident 3 years ago. This disaster resulted in many casualties, with the hospital overflowing and echoing with screams. Afterwards, Adil returned to the scene and found the body of a shark pup in the water. They immediately took the body back to the lab for research, and the results shocked Sophia. The shark had indeed mutated. The sensors on its head had evolved, allowing it to adapt to freshwater environments. Lilith had swum upstream to the Seine specifically to reproduce. The Paris Catacombs were an ideal, safe breeding ground. After realizing that the shark in front of her was a female, Sophia used a scalpel to slice open her abdomen, and to her surprise, a whole bunch of live shark pups came out. This astonished Sophia. The shark was only 2 months old, far too young to reproduce. This led Sophia to conclude that Lilith might be a hermaphrodite, capable of reproducing without a male. Who knew how many offspring Lilith had already produced? If they didn't act quickly to stop these sharks from breeding, the entire marine ecosystem could be at risk. With this in mind, Sophia and Adil returned to the mayor's office. However, the mayor was already overwhelmed by the previous day's incident, which had resulted in 12 deaths. She couldn't believe that so many police officers couldn't handle a single shark, so she blamed the police department for everything. With only 24 hours left until the triathlon, the mayor decided to keep the shark attack a secret and let the military handle security. Sophia feared this would lead to more casualties and suggested canceling the event and revealing the truth, but the furious mayor kicked them out. Given this, Adil no longer wanted to be involved with the shark situation, but Sophia feels they can't just ignore it, because it's not just a disaster for Paris. If the mutant sharks reached the ocean, it would become a global catastrophe, and stopping them then would be too late. Hearing Sophia's words, Adil immediately changed his mind and went back to the police station to mobilize other officers. They confirmed that the shark's nest was in the underground river that connected the shaft to the Seine. Their plan was to blow up the underground river on both sides of the nest, using the collapsing debris to trap all the sharks inside. With only a few hours left until the race, they quickly put their plan into action. The group split into 2 teams, Sophia and Adil, along with 2 others, dove underground to plant the explosives. Caro and Marcus were to wait in a dinghy at the Seine's exit to pick them up. Meanwhile, the race was about to start nearby. Amidst cheers, the mayor attended the event to host the opening ceremony. After delivering an impassioned speech, she personally fired the starting gun to begin the race. Athletes plunged into the water like dumplings, unaware of the impending danger. Things aren't looking good on Sophia's side. The sharks are outnumbering their predictions. To avoid any escaping, Sophia activated an infrasound emitter they had prepared in advance and placed it at the center of the nest to attract the sharks. However, after planting all the bombs, Lilith was still nowhere to be seen. At that moment, Lilith suddenly attacked a teammate from the shadows. The baby shark swarmed over him, and the detonator in his hand fell to the bottom of the river. The others didn't dare make any sudden moves and used flares to try and fend off the sharks. Despite being warned, Adama swam toward the remote. As soon as he picked it up and pressed the button, several sharks attacked him. With the bombs about to explode, Sophia had no choice but to pull the grieving Adil away. As the sharks swarmed, the bombs finally detonated. Seeing that their teammates have not come out of the water, Caro and Marcus, who are waiting for them outside, are very anxious. Luckily, Sophia and Adil managed to escape. After getting Adil onto the dinghy, Sophia went back underwater to ensure the nest was sealed. Seeing the exit blocked by rubble, she finally felt relieved, but the unexpected happened the next second. The sealed exit couldn't hold back the powerful Lilith. Sophia stayed still, narrowly avoiding danger again. Just as she surfaced, the shark attacked the dinghy carrying her teammates. Caro, who had fallen into the water, was immediately swallowed whole by the shark, and Marcus soon met the same fate. In the end, only Adil and Sophia managed to cling to the capsized dinghy and survive, but the shark didn't continue attacking them and instead swam toward the triathlon event. It seemed the shark sensed there was more prey there, seeing the shark easily break through the barrier and swim towards the athletes. Adil and Sophia quickly jumped into the water and followed. They wanted to warn the competitors about the danger below. However, it was already too late. Athletes swimming desperately began to disappear one by one. Only then did the referee realize something was wrong, but in his panic, he fell into the water as well. Alerted by the staff on shore, the other athletes finally noticed the abnormality, but by then, they were like ants on a hot pan, unsure who would be the next victim. The mayor and others on the shore were dumbfounded by the scene. As the race venue turned into a shark slaughterhouse, the athletes gave everything they had, desperately trying to get out of the Seine. Spectators on the shore also started to rescue people. The soldiers responsible for security began attacking the shark. Seeing this, Adil sensed something was terribly wrong and quickly waved for them to stop firing. It turns out that a few days ago they found a large number of shells from the Second World War at the bottom of the river. There were too many to clear immediately, and if hit by bullets, they could trigger a bigger disaster, but the soldiers, focused on the shark, didn't notice Adil's warning. As Adil and Sophia were pulled onto the dinghy by arriving officers, their worst fears came true. The chain reaction from the explosion caused more bombs to detonate. But it didn't end there. The powerful blast created a giant wave that swept over everyone present. When everything finally settled, Sophia and Angeli once again survived, but the crisis was just beginning. Sophia was horrified to see that they were now surrounded by sharks. Clearly, all the sharks from the nest had escaped. Worse still, half of Paris was flooded, and this terrifying disaster was poised to sweep across the world.